for any ATA for Ebama Obibia Aquaba Shonkoso at the Aba Ghana Politics Avenue. So you ever say Obibia say a pay annual bedroom series or like it, over share, over subscribe to the channel on a political trending news. Echo Ebia Ghana Politics Avenue. So yen any other penny said the Bremo a better for any year than TFO. I was for any political highway and so near Simbi any also in 70 anything. So see a national cathedral in sense I in names a quadriano Dominic Ayeni I names a friend of a attorney general no Atta Akuffo Ababim ono or the other two justices and or say payment a can Ofori Atta be Ghana first payment obey and can a dockers no cry first payment obey a $47 million and also Utria edema I abino and Sakrana 16 dockers na be the home commercial wasan anene de ho komo na se de wo so twa ka ho bia no wo twa ka ho na se sia no authorize na se sia no attorney general na nkasa ene de abetu o chirem biem se ken operator no ene ma akwan ema o multimedia o musabo se skanim ono na hwe sika se no so ono so ne kofa e de call parliament ema o mututu na se sia no o chirem biem se ken operator no $47 million no ena oyeka ode national cathedral ne de omu hwe na amena no mutu ikra no $500 grand in Drew. Now, Obeji is kind of a freaking for your time. We don't be biased. Momayanko, Ninkoti, and some capon.
That oversees, the the ethics of campaigning, all right, and then also, especially campaign finance. But in our country, the law is that each political party has to file their returns with the Electoral Commission.
Right.
Now, that happens more, in theory than in practice. Okay, I can't remember the last time that
the political
parties have filed their returns.
Then, and honorable, we ourselves as a people, we are breaking the law.
Yes, so that is what. So when you ask about the rule of law, it means that we must, refashion the architecture of the law when it comes to politics in a way that will inure to the benefit of the people of the country. So because the Constitution is very clear that governmental power must be exercised in a way that inures to the benefit of the people. But
should we get to a point where individuals who support politicians declare or make it open or do it in the open?
No, we have to be transparent.
We have to be transparent.
Yes, there has to be.
Have you taken money from an individual before for your campaign?
Oh, several individuals.
Was that ethical?
Yes, they basically donated.
Did you declare? Is that right? Are you not compromising if you're an MP or a politician and you go to a businessman, you go to a media person, say, I'm supporting you and this is the amount of money?
Yes.
AG, tell us sincerely, would that compromise you or not?
No, it doesn't compromise me. It doesn't compromise me. Okay, and let me say this. All right, all the political parties receive donations. Either in cash or kind from companies, from individuals, and so on. All right, I am no exception.
Okay,
and I'm not an angel when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Because I cannot run a campaign. So my first campaign, for instance, was run 70% from my own resources.
Okay.
All right. So
how much did it cost you to be? Yes.
At the time.
In 2012.
In 2012, I believe I must have done probably in excess of 1.5 million.
And timeless pieces designed to elevate every moment. Visit Goldboard Jewelry showrooms at Diamond House, Kimbu, or call them on 055-5810-005. Oxford Street in Osu. We are also at the Marina Mall, at the Otele Avenue at East Legon. In Tema, we are in Community 11, and Kumasi and Puma Arcade, and Prepare International Airport, Kumasi. So you know what? Discover the collection that marries heritage with modern luxury. Is the Goldboard Jewelry. And that's some great one for you. Every piece whispers stories of tradition, beauty, and unmatched excellence. Welcome back. Dr. Dominic Ayene is our guest here. And like I said, loads of messages. We'll be getting into some of the messages as well. But Edna wants to know from you that as both MP for Bolgatanga East and the Attorney General, how do you separate your frustration with parliamentary chaos from your duty to uphold the rule of law nationally? Yes, Doc.
Well, those are two facets in terms of the constitutional architecture, the Attorney General is part of the executive branch of government, separate and distinct from the legislature. But of course, because of the hybrid system that we run, in terms of the appointment of ministers from Parliament, I double as a member of Parliament for Bolgatanga East, and then also the Attorney General. And so the frustration is with the environment that are working as a lawmaker, right? And sometimes it is very frustrating because you are unable to do anything. You just sit down there helpless, because this rowdy behavior is taking place, and it's embarrassing. I mean, having our children watch us bang tables, do the catcalling and so on and so forth. It's very embarrassing. That is the discomfort in which I find myself.
Right.
So
Kwame in East Legon says that how does it? He said, well, he says first and foremost, he says great interview, Bolare, as always. But this with the Honorable Minister for Justice is epic, and he sends his regards. But he says, how does the president feel about the ongoing prosecution so far?
Well, I do brief him all the time, all right, as every minister does in terms of our sectoral work, all right. But, President Mahama is, him, he's a gentleman, he listens, most of the time, he will not give you his opinion, but if you watch his body language, very carefully, whether or not he approves of what you are doing. And sometimes when he's not comfortable with anything, he would, have you, explain to him, But so far, I think he's fine with everything that I've done, and he does not unduly interfere in my work. So
unduly
interfere, yes,
but he does interfere.
No, if things come up, and he's very alert to things that occur in the media. He's a media guy.
That's right.
He's very alert to things that occur in the media, social media, and so on. If he doesn't feel right about something, he will forward it to me, and then I'll immediately offer an explanation.
Right.
Either I send him, I call him, and then explain the situation to him, or I book an appointment and I explain what is happening.
Right.
Yes.
Your good friend Hanan Abdul, he's a reporter with GH1.
Oh yes. Not.
When I mentioned him, I know. So this Hanan the reporter.
Hanan the reporter. Okay. I jokingly told him one of the days if I don't find the other Hanan, I'll come for him. So yes.
He says a very warm evening to you.
Oh, thank you. Right. Thank you very much.
But also tell us, AG, how do you define success as an attorney general? Convictions, reforms, public confidence, or something beyond?
That's a very, very tough one. I think I want to work and leave the Ghanaian people to determine whether or not my work has been successful. But I get there are a lot of things. People must understand that the Attorney General is not just a prosecutor, right? The Attorney General is the principal legal advisor to the government. Also, okay, so I provide legal advice to government on a host of things that are happening within the country by MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies of government, and we defend the state when the state is sued in court in civil matters. For instance, we handle international arbitrations very quietly. Very few people know what we are doing in respect of that. So the satisfaction comes when you have been able to achieve a milestone. Okay, so for instance, you win a case in arbitration, it gives you some satisfaction, and that is a mark of success. Okay. When it comes to the criminal domain, of course, if I obtain convictions, that will show that I have done my work and done it very well. All right. So, but I don't have any particular milestones that I say, okay, once I have done this, I know that I have, I have been successful as an attorney general. Look, the legal education reform, for instance, is one of my, biggest priorities. All right.
You want to see that happen?
I want to see that happen because it is going to radically change the face of legal education in the country.
Right.
And if that happens, I would think that I have,
I've
been successful.
Will you be fulfilled then?
Yes, I will be fulfilled because I want to give young people, or our citizens who want to become lawyers, an equal, opportunity to do so. All right, not to have structural, barriers to legal education that makes it either difficult or impossible for them to become lawyers.
Bless you. You have a good soul. So Papa Ko Akwe says hi. He says that Dr. Ayene is a proper human and super lawyer. I was lucky to have worked with him and traveled with him from IEA to when he was deputy AG. Papa Ko Akwe sent. He said never had the privilege of sitting in any of his classes at the law faculty because at the time when we were there, he was finishing his doctorate at Stanford.
Yeah.
But all the people he taught, especially the MPP lawyers, speak highly of his humanity, and he's a great guy. It's no surprise that he grew to become one of Africa's most touted international trade and investment lawyers and academics. Must be a Notre Dame seminary thing. Wow, okay. But tell him he was not in the best of house. My Labelle house. Is it Labelle or what?
Labelle house.
Labelle house. Okay.
Yes.
All right then.
I was in Nkrumah house.
Nkrumah house.
Yes.
But he says his house was the best.
He was, in Labelle house.
Labelle house. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one says you are known for calm but firm interventions in heated national debates. How do you handle criticism? And this from Eresi to you, especially when decisions are unpopular.
Well,
lots of questions are coming for you.
Yes. I handle criticism very well.
Okay.
I remember a few days ago, one of my former teachers sent me a text message, and he said, "I hope you don't mind some mild criticism on your interview on Saturday." And I said to him, I welcome all criticism, especially when it is coming from my former teacher. All right, I take criticism, in good faith, okay, because it improves my, work. It improves my thinking. It makes me be on my feet, okay, because I know that if I don't
103.5,
if I don't do the work very well, I'll be criticized for it. All right, and when I am criticized in good faith, I take it, very, very, very well.
All right. All right. So moving on, Peter says that Bola, great interview thus far. You should come and see us here at our place at Tesson. It's as if we are watching a football game. We're watching you guys live on YouTube. But ask him about the Tagore case, which he won, and tell him greetings from FOPCA. He will understand. Say the Tagore case you won.
Well, that was one of the most popular cases that I was involved in.
Okay.
Of course, you know the story about about Tagore.
Right.
But I must say that the credit for my winning that case goes currently to the current OSP, who was my junior in Chambers.
That is Kisi Ejabin.
Kisi Ejabin was
How's
my junior in
the relationship between the two? Because about
we
3 months ago we had in the media that
we have a fantastic relationship.
It was a storm in the teacup.
It was a storm in the teacup. Okay, but Kisi knows me. He knows that when I take a principal position, I will push it. All right. Oh. So he and I worked, on the Tagore matter.
Okay.
And he was like the principal. He was the together with Prince Intifol, were 3 lawyers. I was a senior lawyer, followed by Kisi and then Prince. And they worked with me, and in fact, Kisi did most of the work.
So you credit Kisi Ejabin for doing most of the work?
He did most of the work under my supervision.
Of course.
All right. So a good senior should give his junior the credit, for the. He wrote the arguments. I reviewed them and finalized them for us to file and go to court. I led him to go to court. I led them to go to court. And
what did you make of calls then of a section of the public asking for his removal or he should be taken out? How did you take that?
Well, I don't know what the public see of his work, but Kisi is a brilliant, criminal law lawyer. All right, my former lecturer. EY Yeboah used to say, don't say that criminal lawyer, because then it means that the lawyer has a criminal record. All right, but you know, he's one of the best, you know, criminal law lecturers you can find in this country. Yeah,
Wow.
He has a very deep knowledge of the criminal jurisprudence of our country. But people expect a lot from the office of the special prosecutor, the same way they expect a lot from the office of the attorney general.
That's right.
And I believe that those are some of the things that got people thinking that, look, he's not delivering and he must go.
All right.
But that's a judgment that a judgment call that I cannot make.
Right.
Yeah.
Al Hassan Abugbila, and he says he's in Posiga.
Yes.
He's listening to us, and he says, kudos to you, Honorable Minister. You have made the judiciary what it's supposed to be. God bless you. Abdul Razak from Bolga says, good evening, Bolare. Great interview as always. Please ask Dr. Ayene if his office has taken any steps to look into the 52 billion Ghana cedis that was moved from the GCB to unknown source. We are interested in the matter.
That is very interesting. Now, I haven't taken any steps in that direction. So if he has, some more information, he should make it available, and then we'll of course send our investigators, to look into it. But that is not to say I haven't heard about it.
Oh, so you've heard about it?
I've heard about it.
52 billion cedis moved into an unknown account.
Yes, that is said to have happened.
All right.
Yes.
Also, last Saturday, you stated on Joy News File that banking cases involved, weak charges, risking criminalization of ordinary banking risk and all of that. Can you walk us through the specific evidence? You're saying that, well, this is it, and there isn't much evidence on that. What is the point, really?
No, the point is that, look, okay, let me give two contrasting examples.
Please do.
All right. And I think that people were more focused on the Unibank matter,
yes,
because of the popularity of the Dufos as a family.
Right.
All right. But let's take Capital Bank. All right. In the Capital Bank trial, there was evidence to the effect that whenever the Bank of Ghana gave liquidity support, all right, the former MD of Capital Bank, okay, what's Atuasian.
Right.
All right. Basically, took that money and then, appropriated it. He misappropriated, he dishonestly appropriated those funds. That was the case of the prosecution. And the prosecution led evidence to show that he actually carried some of these funds in a van, all right, to a garage in his house. They even had the geographical, location of everything that, transpired from when the funds were moved, all right, from the bank all the way to his, his garage, all right. That is pure stealing, okay? That is pure stealing. If liquidity support is given to a bank and the liquidity support is applied in accordance with normal banking rules, but the bank fails, eventually, you cannot criminalize the conduct of the owners of the bank or the conduct of the directors of the bank just because the liquidity support, did not help the bank to get back onto his feet.
Because they took a risk.
Yeah, they took a risk. All right, and banking is about taking risk. So, as I said, if you give loans and then the loans, this is misapplied or people default in payment of the loans, okay, you cannot then turn around and say because you got liquidity support from the Bank of Ghana, we are prosecuting you for causing financial loss to the state. It doesn't happen anywhere. And that was part of what was. So if people want, they should go back to the Unibank case and show me where the evidence said that the Dufos, stole money. Then there was no evidence that they stole money. All right. And then I also took a position that the banker-customer relationship is not one of trust. That's a fundamental principle of law, that the banker-customer relationship is one of contract. It's not one of trust. Okay, so you cannot say that, there is fraudulent breach of trust just because the depositors have given their money to the bank, all right, and then the bank has lent it to, other persons who have who have not been able to pay, or even they have given it to, let's say, for instance, in the case of Unibank, if they were affiliate companies that were,
beneficiaries.
that the beneficiaries of the loans, then you say that that's beneficiaries of the funds of the bank, then you say that is a fraudulent breach of trust because they gave it to beneficiaries, or companies in which they have, ultimate beneficial interest. Okay, so that was a position that I took. Okay, that in terms of the law, those cases, presented very problematic, a problematic, a situation to the Attorney General, going forward. And that is how come that I ended up, withdrawing the charges. But I did say that, look, given the situation that we are in, all right, if the directors, because the directors were also sued in a civil suit by the receiver.
Correct.
All right. So if the directors could, more or less say that, look, we can give assets that, takes care of part of the liability, why not? I will be willing to take it. Or I can say go and stand trial if you are able to extricate yourself. And I knew that eventually they were going to be acquitted because the evidence was.
There's nothing because you said on news file, and you want to stand by that. You said it doesn't make sense for you to say that because liquidity support was given, they did not apply it in the manner that you thought they ought to apply it.
Yes.
And you also addressed that specific case, and you said that the allegations were not about theft.
Yes.
Or personal enrichment.
Yes. That is so. And I stand by that is my analysis, of the situation that was confronting the AGs as far as the Unibank case was concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's get into how you see the role of law in shaping Ghana's next political generation, with where you sit and all of that. How do you see it? Do you see the role of law shaping?
Well, yes. So first of all, law is fundamental, and the conduct of politics cannot be, cannot be done without the legal guardrails, tell us how we should conduct politics, all right, in an ethical manner or in a manner that is, that will inure to the benefit of our republic. Okay, so for instance, we have to reform our laws on the conduct of politics. So, for instance, campaign financing. All right, it's one of the areas where we need to think thoroughly about what to do in order to curb the incidence of rising costs of political campaigns.
Right.
Okay, so if you take, I think there was a study by the CDD. That's the Center for Democratic Development,
yes.
Or Ghana, CDD Ghana. And they said that the minimum cost in US dollar terms for an MP to run a campaign was $350,000. All right, so you are looking at close to 4 million Ghana cedis. I think it's even higher than that. Giving my own
if you spend that, how then do you recoup it? How?
Right. Okay, so you have to rely on donations. All right. But what happens now is that the donations are not even transparent. Right? In America, corporations or companies write checks to politicians to support their campaigns. All right? And when they do, it's tax deductible. And it's above board. At the end of every campaign cycle, all right, the politician will have to file returns. Okay, with their local party and then with the federal elections, if it is a federal, election, all right, with the Federal Elections Commission, okay, which is, interestingly, despite its name, it's not the one that organizes elections, but it is a commission.
Should be OJ Breher with Pepper. So it will be as how many Ghana politics avenue. Send a motion to Medina, most send a motion to Medina, money. It will be as how many Ghana politics avenue. So, like, share, subscribe to the channel, send a bear. Political trending news via Echo Piano, Monso, Matty Penny, some neighbor Juma, Namania Jumedia, Akuffo should be an Hannah Bray, Ebon Quine, sent me a pharmacy. Jumedia for near for some more and some Caribbeans, Namontia, a comment section of Senebea. Political trending news via Echo Piano, Menemo, a bit Juma, Namanema Channel, do be as Hannah Bray, Mam Quine, some of Pharmacy, Macram.